Good evening. My name is Ben Kvelik, and I work for the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission, also known as the IURC. The IURC is hosting tonight's field hearing. If you aren't familiar, we are a state government agency responsible for the regulation of public utilities in Indiana. The agency includes 5 appointed commissioners who each have equal vote on all formal cases before the commission. The IURC hears evidence in cases filed before it and makes decisions based on the evidence presented in those cases. The IURC is required by state statute to make decisions in the public interest to ensure that utilities provide safe and reliable service at just and reasonable rates. Field hearings such as this one provide you with an opportunity to formally offer comments to the Commission on cases under consideration. Before the Commission reaches a decision in this case, it reviews evidence presented by all parties, including the comments shared at this hearing. Tonight, we are joined by Chairman Houston, Commissioners Glenda and Signer. We are going to be soon joined by our presiding administrative law judge, Kristen Kresge, our co-reporter, Amy, who will record your comments to be included in the official record of the case. Because this is a pending proceeding before the IURC, the commissioners and the administrative law judge are not allowed to answer questions or engage in any discussion about the case. They are here to listen to you. Of course, if you have questions about today's hearing, feel free to find me. I'll be in the back of the room. If you are planning to speak tonight, you will see 2 mics by the podium. There are 2 there. It's the one on the right side that's the most important, because that's the one that our court reporter will be using to transcribe your comments to be entered in the official record of the case. I do have one quick note. As you all saw walking in, there are some steps here, so just be mindful of that. If you're coming down to speak, just make sure you look down and keep an eye out for those. With that, I'm going to turn it over to the Indiana Office Utility Consumer Counselor, which is a state agency that formally represents consumer interests in matters before the Commission. Olivia Rivera from the OUCC will now offer a few comments prior to handing it off to Chairman Houston to begin the hearing.
Thanks, Ben. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. Again, my name is Olivia Rivera, and I'm with the OUCC, the separate state agency that represents the public in this case and in other cases before the Commission. There are 4 things we'd like you to know before this hearing gets started. Number 1, tonight's hearing has one purpose, and that is to hear comments from the public. You will not see a presentation from the utility tonight because it filed its case in writing back in June. The OUCC's fact sheet has a brief summary of the utility's request along with other information about the case. Again, tonight is about giving you the chance to speak to the Commission. Number 2, this is one of several steps in the case process. Those steps are outlined in the fact sheet, and a final order from the Commission is not expected until spring of 2026. Number 3, a team of engineers, attorneys, accountants, and other experts are reviewing the utility's request, and our office will file testimony on September 9th. Number 4, you should have received a form along with your fact sheet. If you would like to speak tonight, please fill out the top half of that form and return it to our table. If you do not want to speak tonight but still wish to make comments, you can do so through the avenues noted in the fact sheet. Written comments carry equal weight to the spoken comments heard here tonight. They will become part of the formal case record so long as we receive them by September 2nd. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to find me or another OUCC team member outside the hearing room. And with that, I will turn it over to Chairman Houston to begin the hearing.
Thanks, Olivia. We're doing things a little bit differently tonight simply because our judge is stuck in traffic, and we're not going to slow down tonight's proceedings due to the traffic situation. So I just wanted to start off by saying thank you to everybody who's here, whether you're here to speak or whether you're here to support others. We appreciate you being here, and just as the 2 speakers before had indicated, please, if you have something that you want to communicate with us and don't want us to talk in public, that's perfectly fine. Just put it in writing and get it to the OUCC's office, and they'll make sure that it's made part of the record. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Valletta, who is the lead commissioner on this particular case and an attorney, and he'll be able to swear in the witnesses tonight.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and get started in a minute. We have a couple administrative things to take care of, so let's go on the record. This is a hearing published in Marion County in the Indianapolis Star in a cause that's formally docketed as the petition of Indianapolis Power and Light Company doing business as AES, Indiana AES, for authority to increase rates and charges for electric utility service through a phase-in rate adjustment and for approval of related relief, including number one, revised depreciation rates, including cost of removal, less salvage, and updated depreciation expense. Number two, accounting relief, including deferrals and amortizations. And three, inclusion of capital investment. Four, rate adjustment mechanism proposals, including a new property tax rider. And five, new schedule of rates, rules, and regulations for service. Could we have the appearance of the parties, please?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I'm appearing on behalf of the OUCC, Jason Haas, representing the public.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the petitioner, Indianapolis Power and Light Company, doing business as AES Indiana, Jeffrey M. Peabody with the law firm of Taft, Stettinius & Hollister, LLP, Indianapolis, Indiana.
Good evening. My name is William Groth. I'm appearing tonight on behalf of Citizens Action Coalition of Indiana, also known as CAC.
Thank you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Haas, but first I need everyone that's planning on testifying tonight, if you could stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that evidence will give you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Thank you. Mr. Haas, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. I now call up witnesses. When you come up to the microphone, please state and spell your name for the record. I'm first calling Representative Cherish Pryor.
Hello, I'm State Representative Cherish Pryor. My name is spelled Cherish, Cherish, Pryor, Pryor. Go ahead. So first off, I would just like to tell you thank you for holding 4 hearings, and in particular holding a hearing in my district, and so welcome to my district. I would also like to say that the Indiana Legislative Caucus did submit a letter asking you all to hold hearings here, so we're very appreciative for that. But on to why we're here this evening. To me, this request by AES is absolutely egregious. I can't even say how bad this is for ratepayers. AES asked for a rate increase in 2020. Those rates are still being phased in. And so before those rates are even completely phased in, they're asking for another increase. It's not giving ratepayers an opportunity to even breathe. And what makes it more difficult is the fact that the legislature continues to pass legislation that mandates things that the IURC can do. So in some way, they do tie the hands of IURC. But for ratepayers, people struggling every single day, the only help and hope they have is the IURC to say no, to not allow AES and quite frankly other utilities to continue putting on the backs of ratepayers their profits. This, quite frankly, to me seems absolutely heartless to the people who are trying to make it every day. The fact that residential customers are being asked to pay a higher percentage than businesses, and when you think about the fact that we have people who are low income, fixed income, and seniors who may live in those older homes that are not even energy efficient, may have older windows, may have doors that do not close all the way. And so they're seeing their money just literally go out the window and go out the door. And so to ask for those ratepayers to pay more, to me, is simply heartless. People are currently struggling to pay their bills. And I realize that everything is going up for AES. But guess what? everything is going up for everybody. Everybody is paying more. The difference is AES can come to you to ask for a rate increase. Where do ratepayers go? They don't have anywhere to go. The minimum wage remains $7.50 in the state of Indiana. So how are those people going to be able to make it? The other thing is, for AES, the fact that they're asking more money for their profits. Again, egregious and heartless. At a time when tariffs are kicking in, at a time when people are trying to just make it, at a time when we know things are probably going to get worse, people are losing Medicaid, people are just simply having a hard time. And AES basically is asking ratepayers, well, actually they are. They're just asking ratepayers to pay for a bigger profit margin. Over $400 million is what they want in profits. You know, personally, I wish that our utility was not even a corporation, but it was something that was owned locally. The other thing is all these daggone trackers, which, again, the legislature allows. I don't vote for them, but the legislature allows it. And AES want to roll all those trackers into the rate. So how are people going to get ahead with what they are doing? And then I'm concerned about the data centers. Data centers coming in, potentially having a heavier load on the system. Who's going to pay for that? Are ratepayers going to be asked to subsidize that amount for the data centers to be here? I think that they need to pay 100%. If they want to move here, they need to pay 100%. They need to pay 100% of the cost of utilities, and it should not be passed on. And it should not be passed on to ratepayers. Yes, the cost of utilities should be passed on, should be bared by AES and not the ratepayers. The ratepayers should not subsidize data centers. Basically, is what I was saying. And the other thing is, AES know that they can come to you all and ask for a rate increase. They're very well aware of that. And they know in Indiana, our laws, unfortunately, tend to favor utilities. But in favoring utilities, that means that it's hurting ratepayers. Again, people being barely able to make it. And this is egregious. And these are just some numbers that AES collects about $1.6 billion each year. That's a lot of money that they're collecting. And they're asking for that to go up to $2 billion in 2026 and $2.1 billion in 2027. They want a 28.5% increase by 2027. I don't know of anybody's job that's giving them a pay increase. I don't know of anybody's job that's giving them a pay increase of 28.5%. And they stay in that same job. Now, if you get a promotion, you may get 28.5% or even more. But if you're staying in that same job, people are not getting that much money. Ratepayers are getting hit just like AES, and I just think it is egregious what AES is asking ratepayers to do. Again, this is heartless. The other thing that I would mention too is the tree trimming situation. The fact that they're asking more money for tree trimming. I think it's $43 million they're asking, but we're not getting better service out of that $43 million. That, again, is just egregious to me. They don't need, quite frankly, a increase, and I know oftentimes companies come to the IURC probably asking for more than what they're going to get, knowing that they'll get a little bit less. But in this particular situation, they shouldn't get anything. They should be completely denied this rate increase.
To everyone in the audience, for the court reporters trying to take the record, and if you just wait, you want to clap after each speaker's done, it makes it better for the court reporter. The record otherwise, when she goes to transcribe it, some stuff's going to be inaudible. It's problematic. Just wait till the speaker's done, and then if you want to clap, then that's fine. But clapping in between parts of while the speaker's speaking, it makes it really hard for me to do a job. And then we end up with a record that doesn't reflect what you said. We want to hear what you have to say, but we also want your record of what you say to go into the record of the case. So please do that for us. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
And the last thing that I said is AES, their request should be completely denied. They should not get a lower rate than what they're asking for. It should be denied because we are still going to feel the effect of the last rate increase that hasn't fully kicked in. And for AES to ask people to pay more money when their last rate request hasn't gone into a full effect is problematic. And clearly, it's not about the people. It's about shareholders, stockholders. It is not about the people who are sitting at their dining room table every day trying to make a living. And that is a problem. And I would ask that you please, please, please have some sympathy on the individuals who are trying to make it and just deny it. Just deny it. Because they'll probably ask for trackers even if you approve it anyway. They'll probably come back and ask for trackers again anyway. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Representative. I next call Senator J.D. Ford.
As Representative Pryor mentioned, I'm so sorry. I'm State Senator J.D. Ford, J.D. Authority. I represent District 29 in our Indiana State Senate. That covers the western side of Carmel, Zionsville, Pike Township, and Wayne Township. Okay. That'd be great. Right behind you. Thank you for doing that. Yeah, that's okay. It's okay. Is that better? Yes. I also serve on the Senate Utilities Committee as my current committee assignment. Before I do my prepared remarks, I would like to just ask the audience quickly, for the record, is there anybody here to testify in support of this rate case? Anybody to testify against the rate case? Just please let the record reflect that there were nobody here tonight to support this AES rate case. Again, I'm J.D. Ford. Today we are discussing if we should charge Indianapolis residents approximately $30 more per month to keep the lights turned on, to keep the air conditioner on, especially when the summers keep getting hotter and often dangerously so every year. So often when we see rate increase requests, we see them tied to a certain project or a tangible improvement. But this approximately 13.5% increase seems to be tied to more general operation costs that are just getting passed on to the consumer. I understand inflation. We are all feeling the weight of it. But while we feel it, the CEOs of the 5 largest investor-owned utilities in our state receive a compensation package of approximately $18 million. At the same time, a 2024 report revealed that nearly half of households making less than $20,000 already struggle to keep the lights on. These families are already staring down an approved 6% increase in 2026. How do we think this additional increase would impact them? Are half of those households not enough? Do we want to see 60% or 70%? Or should we be doing everything we can to get that number down? To try and get more people to the point where they are not having to decide between food for their kids or AC for their kids, because this is the reality of far too many in my community. I can't accept this increase. Not when AES already has the highest profit margin of all of our investor-owned utilities, and this would only increase it. Not when AES already collects $2.1 billion from Indiana customers every year. Not when our households are seeing over a 13% rate increase, but data centers are seeing a 2.5% rate increase in tax breaks from our state, which I note that, and this is again, approximately 40 of those data centers are in the queue ready to come online in our state, which is the reason why I filed Senate Bill 135 to put transparency on this data center project. Because who will this increase, resulting in an average monthly bill of approximately $180 for households, hurt the most? Well, I'll tell you, it's going to be our elderly or on fixed incomes. It's our neighbors with disabilities. It's those already barely making and scraping by. Children who have no control over the situation. Not the CEOs making millions of dollars each year, and certainly not the investors enjoying the grossly high profit margins for a basic necessity. I oppose this rate increase in the strongest possible terms, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who came tonight to voice your concerns. Thank you so much.
I next call Senator Taylor. Senator, if you could please state and spell your name for the record.
Thank you. State Senator Greg Taylor, Senate District 33, first name G-R-E-G, last name T-A-Y-L-O-R. My testimony is one that some may determine to be neutral, but I think after you hear what I have to say, there are the people who are actually asking or requesting this rate increase may think it's against their rate increase. But what I'd like to do is talk directly to the commissioners that are here today. First of all, I want to say thank you for your service to the citizens of the state of Indiana. But one of the things that I want you to know is that your job is to make sure that, as required by law, you have to balance the interest of all parties involved to make sure that the utilities provide, quote unquote, reliable service at reasonable prices. That is your job today. As a member of the Indiana General Assembly, it is my job to put forth good public policy. And as you all have been appointed to your positions, that duty comes with a lot of responsibility. And I want to talk to you about the responsibility today for this proposed increase. I'm here to tell you that I understand that with the regulatory environment, that AES has to make some investments. That doesn't go unheard by public policy makers like myself. The question you have to ask yourself is whether or not this is fair and reasonable. As most of you know, this year the Indiana General Assembly decided that it would be important to return, through property tax relief, approximately $300 per household in tax dollars back to the citizens. At the same time, these same public policy makers decided that the only way the local government who receives those tax dollars can make up that difference is through a local option income tax. That's going to be paid by these people out here. You have a dire responsibility because you can't take this rate increase in a microcosm. You have to understand there are other things that are on the plate right now in local communities, especially those in Marion County. Your job is to make sure that if there is an increase, that increase be reasonable. I want to talk about one factor. One is that AES has requested in their own rate case to increase their profits from 9.9% to 10.7%. At a time when consumers are going to see a lessening of public service at the local level because of Senate Bill 1, and an increase in their income tax if the local elected officials determine that that is necessary. So if you decide to give them an increase in their profits at the same time that people in the state of Indiana, we know, are going to see less services, I don't think that's a reasonable thing to do. Last but not least, we are standing in one of the most important facilities in our government. That is an education facility. I've spoken to my superintendents across this community. And as part of this rate increase, our local school districts are going to see an increase in their utility rates. Where's that money supposed to come from? I just told you that property taxes have already been lowered. That is the primary source of our traditional public schools in the state of Indiana. Along with that, these schools are going to have to pay to charter schools for every child that lives in their school district here in Marion County, have to pay for that child going to a charter schools. That's not right, and to do a rate increase on them is not reasonable. I want to close with one of the things that I struggle with as a public policy maker. And it's a question that most of us as human beings are asking about this country right now. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. There was a time when I was a young boy that my mother would tell me, if somebody hit me with a rock, you hit them back. We are at the place in this country where that has become normal rhetoric. I don't care if it's redistricting. I don't care if it's what happens to you in your house. We have to start at the grassroots level to say that some things, while they may be reasonable on its face, under our current situation right now, people can't afford it. And remember, after we do this, you can't go back and change it. We cannot go back and change it. Maybe the strategy for AES is to go back to the federal government and say, hey, let's extend the time period for us to enforce some of these government regulations that they want to pay for. That will lessen the burden on our taxpayers. So today I'm asking you as commissioners, be reasonable. Do your duty. Think about the effect of this rate increase at today's market as a whole. Do not just look at the IURC rate case and take that as what it's supposed to be. Please think about our citizens. Please think about the time that we have today. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. I next call Jesse Brown. Could you please state and spell your name for the record?
Yes, happily. My name is City Councilor Jesse Brown. That's Jesse Brown. Good evening, members of the IURC. I'm testifying today both as a proud volunteer member of the board of Citizens Action Coalition and as the elected representative for District 13 on the Indianapolis-Marion County City-County Council. Like Chair Pryor before me, Representative Pryor, I wanted to thank Office of Utility Consumer Counselor Bill Fine for working to schedule multiple field hearings on this rate case. As you might know, the rate case is proceeding during budget season on the council, so it's been enormously difficult for me to make even one of these hearings, so I'm grateful that this body provided several options. I wanted to take a moment, as Senator Taylor just did, to discuss the outside economic conditions that my constituents, who are all AES ratepayers, find themselves in 2025. The cost of living has been increasing dramatically across the board. Grocery prices, restaurant prices, they've gone up substantially in recent years. Housing costs have seen some of the nation's highest increases year after year after year. Rents are skyrocketing. And what's that leading to? You can see it on the streets of Indianapolis. More and more of my constituents are being thrust into homelessness. Meanwhile, due to economic changes that Senator Taylor mentioned at the federal level and tax policy changes at the state level, the city of Indianapolis is cutting services. A story from Mirror Indy that just came out on Friday, August 22nd, mentioned that Indianapolis has already lost $6.8 million in funding and 29 jobs due to cuts to research grants from the National Institutes of Health. The city budget being proposed by our mayor is cutting funding for parks. Even our public transit is becoming more expensive because just last week, Indigo's board approved increasing their fares by $1 every trip. So in that context, AES's existing rates are already obscene. They're a massive problem for the people I'm sworn to represent. AES's own data shows that 49% of their customers were threatened with a disconnection notice in the first 6 months of this year alone. 21,000 people actually had their power disconnected for non-payment. And that's what the rates that AES currently has. It seems that every single Facebook group for neighborhood conversations that I'm part of has been hosting discussions of drastically increased electric bills and extreme frustration from ratepayers. Dozens of constituents have reached out to me directly, asking me to do everything I can to hold AES accountable. It's very easy to see why. AES's rollout of a new customer engagement system was an embarrassment. I'm a former tech consultant myself. The amount that was spent on this and the results that we saw should be disqualifying for any organization claiming monopoly utility status. I myself received incorrect or missing bills for several months, and my constituents went through the same thing. They've experienced unacceptable numbers of power outages this year and much longer wait times for power to be restored after storms than we saw years ago. Now, under capitalism, in industries that do not receive government protection for their monopolies, consumers are able to hold firms with this level of poor performance accountable. Bad firms are forced out of business so that others can provide services more efficiently or with greater benefits to their customers. And I think you heard the applause in this room earlier, just like I did. People would greatly prefer an electric utility that is run directly by the city, not by out-of-state profiteers. But of course, in Indiana, it would be illegal for me as a councilor in the city of Indianapolis to just buy AES out of business and run the utility as a municipal organization. Instead, we are forced by law to put up with this privately owned monopoly, and that monopoly gets to appeal to you, the members of the IURC, to set its profitability as defined by return on equity, ROE. As you know, AES already has a 9.9% guaranteed return on equity. That's shareholder value that's delivered no matter how well or how poorly they do their jobs. Now they're requesting to increase that rate to 10.7%. From what I've seen, that may be the highest rate in the country. Based on the size of their annual budget, this would suck an additional $27.4 million out of the local economy and into the private hands of AES's shareholders every single year. That's on top of the millions and millions they're already extracting from us in the form of their profits. This is also in addition to the millions of dollars in CEO pay that both their local AES Indiana CEO gets and their parent company AES CEO receives. And all of that is before any potential sale to an even larger organization. That's right. For those in the audience who hadn't heard, BlackRock is among one of the small groups of mega corporations that is rumored to be contemplating buying AES outright. So, a lot of doom and gloom, which you've heard from other elected officials and from myself, but I want to focus in now on the actions that you, as a regulatory body, have the authority to take. You can set AES's return on equity lower than they currently receive. You could avoid anyone paying higher rates and still give AES's shareholders a guaranteed 5.1% return. You could do that, and you should do that. Set their rate of return on equity to 5.1% to show them that their mishandling of the new technology rollout, their unresponsiveness, their delays in reconnecting power after storms, and their refusal to propose methods of protecting low-income ratepayers have consequences. Consumers can't do this for you. You're the only ones who can. Beyond setting this ROE, you can and should take a few additional actions. Right now, AES, as you know, is planning to increase residential rates by a much higher percentage than commercial or industrial customers. So I'm all for ensuring that businesses keep their lights on, can keep operating in our state. No one benefits if we shut everybody out of business with too high of costs. But when businesses have too high of costs, their food in the refrigerator doesn't go bad. They don't suffer heart attacks from not having air conditioning at home. My residential constituents do. That happens. My colleague, Councilor Andy Nielsen, said it well at a previous hearing. Ensure residential households are not subsidizing corporations. Don't approve a rate increase that forces low-income Hoosiers to shoulder the burden, but lets data centers and other big industry get off relatively easily. You can also encourage people to be thrifty consumers. You have that power. I personally have solar panels on my roof, which means I'm producing power and giving it back to the grid. AES currently says, because of that, I should have to pay more per kilowatt hour because I use less energy. How does that make sense? Those who use more energy pay less per kilowatt hour. As Representative Pryor mentioned earlier, this incentivizes inefficiency and causes people who take steps to increase the efficiency of their homes to still lose that money anyway. It would be even worse if I was living in an apartment building with one bill. You as regulators can and should insist upon a base rate that stops discouraging energy production and energy efficiency. It's about incentives under capitalism, right? You can also require more financial support for low-income households at the risk of disconnection. As I mentioned at the beginning of the speech, far too many of my constituents are struggling right now. We are struggling to keep food on the table. We are struggling to stay in our homes. And we are struggling to keep the lights on. There's no reason that a privately held corporation cannot do more to help its most needy ratepayers. So let's reiterate, what you truly should do is lower AES's return on equity to 5.1%. That would avoid any increase to anybody. If you refuse to do this, then at the bare minimum, you should insist on a rate structure that supports residential customers, efficiency, and low-income Hoosiers. You simply cannot squeeze blood from a stone. Without drastic changes like the ones I propose, we will see hardworking Hoosiers in my district become homeless, just for the profit of a monopoly utility company. Thank you.
Thank you. I next call Robert Burton.
Thank you very much. I wanted to ask you a question, Commissioner.
Could you please state and spell your name for the record?
Robert W. Burton, R-O-B-E-R-T, W-B-U-R-T-O-N.
Thank you.
I'm the mayor of the town of Spring Hill, which is located off Michigan Road and Cold Spring Road on the south and the east. Which one? This one? Okay. Commissioner, you mentioned the last rate increase, and I wanted to make sure I understood you. Did you say 2020? Pardon me? No, I said Commissioner Valletta had made those remarks.
I'm sorry, what?
I believe I heard you say that the last rate increase was in 2020, the last request.
I think one of the speakers referenced that, but sir, we're here to listen to your comments and hear your testimony, but we're not allowed to talk to you about the pending case and answer your questions.
Okay. The only reason I was asking that is because I've watched my electric bill over the last year double. And I thought it was an aberration. And I've talked to residents of the town of Spring Hill and found out that everybody else in the town is experiencing the same thing. That's pretty outrageous. Frankly, it asks the question, how much is enough? And I think you, as commissioners, need to ask that same question when they're asking for more. My remarks are going to be brief simply because I have to get home to my wife who has Alzheimer's, but I do appreciate the opportunity to be here and express our feelings.
I next call Erica Mays.
My name is Erica Mays, and that's spelled E-R-I-C-A, last name Mays, M-A-Y-E-S. I just want to say thank you for hearing us out today. So the cost of living is steadily going up. Food is up. Healthy food is up exponentially. Gas is up. Car maintenance is up. School supplies are up. Feminine hygiene products are up. Medical services are up. Rent is up. Entertainment is up. Everything having to deal with living is up. Consumable goods and services are up across the board. CEO salaries are even up. But wages, fair living wages, are at an all-time stagnant low and remain consistent with the pricing structures of yesteryears.
I next call Lucas Lee.
Hello, my name is Lucas Lee, it's spelled L-U-C-A-S-L-E-E. Good evening, my name is Lucas Lee. I live in Indianapolis and I am a citizen who is concerned with the proposed changes coming to our community, namely the AES price hike and the swath of planned data centers. My concern is rooted in both the true purpose and the true consequences of these two planned actions. The AES rate hike and the data centers are connected, but let us first expand on why AES, not our community, actually deems the price hike necessary. Applied Energy Services Corporation, or as I would like to call them, absentee energy swindlers, are an energy corporation which takes over local utility companies in the goal of profit, not service. Based out of Arlington, Virginia, they have holdings from here to Argentina, Brazil, and Chile. This corporation aims to hold communities hostage for resources that they need for everyday life. There's no negotiation or way around it. We in Indianapolis could not live without electricity. Corporations like AES know this. By controlling the energy, they essentially hold our community hostage. It is in the same thought, thinking of our community as a hostage, that they impose rate hikes upon us, a polite way of demanding extortion. Like two big gangsters, they demand more for their excellent service. They demand that residential users, not industry or commerce, pay higher prices to pay for their unprecedented profits. AES is essentially demanding that normal people, you and I, pay their bills and their corporate energy clients. While this rate hike extortion can be attributed to corporate greed, that greed is driven by the advent of new profit-driven industries that are also similarly extortionary of local communities. Big tech with AI and data centers. These data centers are necessary for big tech companies like Google to work out the machine processes for their digital services. More often than not, corporations which seek to construct data centers choose communities not for the enrichment of the community, but for the land and water under our feet. For communities like Franklin Township, where a Google data center is being planned for construction, the working class people in that community are never given a thought by these massive corporations. If anything, they are seen as an obstacle, an annoyance, something standing in the way of their money. The cost of these data centers is more than just the AES rate hike. As a grim example, just one 100-word prompt from a generative AI program uses approximately 1 bottle of water. Think of how many of these processes will run through a data center per day. Think of how much water, our community's water, that is used for residential and agricultural use, that will be quite literally vanished so the extreme wealthy can line their pockets with billions. That greed, that quest for money, will drain our communities of our water, making our communities uninhabitable. With no exaggeration, these data centers will ruin the land and the lives of everyone around them. I ask everybody here, do we deserve this? Do we, a community in which 30% of AES residential customers already struggle to pay the bills, deserve to foot the bill of 2 major corporations? Do our communities deserve to suffer the physical effects of wasteful data centers? Do we deserve to have the land around us dry up and die? Do ourselves or our families deserve to bear the life-threatening health effects that come with data centers? I say no. I stand with those unhappy with the rate hikes. I stand with those who say no to data centers in our communities. I say no to corporate criminal extortion. I say no to the wealthy that think we can be bullied into silence. I hope the counselors make the right decision. For those of you who are here voicing your concerns, now is the time to get organized. We are stronger together. Our collective voices are loudest when we speak as one. Thank you.
Thank you. Your Honor, we have several witnesses that have not been sworn in to speak.
Will all those who have not been sworn in yet and need to testify stand up, please? Do you swear that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you, Your Honor. I next call Annette Johnson. Could you please state your name and spell for the record?
Annette Johnson, ANNETTEJOHNSON.
Thank you.
Good evening to you here, and thank you for this opportunity to speak. I'm an elected official. I'm the trustee of Pike Township, representing this district. I just wanted to share as a trustee, one of my roles is to provide emergency assistance. And that role is getting harder and harder every day with individuals that are coming into my office for assistance. The ratepayers, which is me as well, I live in Pike Township, we're paying more. As we have already heard from individuals, many are struggling to even pay their bills. And it seems like we're just paying more and more and more, but our services are getting less. So many individuals that I come in contact with are on a budget already, and they just cannot squeeze anything else out of there. I see it daily, as I shared. I've been able to put together some other components at the trustee's office, such as a food pantry, a mother-baby room so that I can provide food and diapers and formula for individuals that are coming in there because, again, they're already struggling. Even today with AES, I'm paying, and it's not me paying, but our Township Assistance Fund has just really skyrocketed. I was able to compare the amount that we sent to you guys from last year, and it's increased tremendously. I want to share a story real quickly with a 72-year-old African-American female woman that came into my office. 72 years old, she's still working. And she had to get a part-time job because, again, her Social Security is just not enough to make ends meet. She came in my office for another issue. But with many of the residents that come in, I always ask, is there other things that you have not put on your application that I can help you with? Let me look at your AES bill, see what I could do. She said, well, it's high, but it's not high as it's been because I don't have air conditioning this summer. I've been suffering all summer, and I do not have furnace. My furnace is broke. That unit is broken. Air conditioning, heating. I'm telling you, I was in tears. Not tears where she could see it, because in my role, I have to do my best to keep it together. As the wheels are spinning in my head, I said, this is my goal, I told her. I said, we're gonna get your unit fixed. We're gonna figure it out. That is not the role of the trustee's office to fix heating units and air conditioning. We don't have money like that. My goal was, I said, I want to fix this by November because I do not want you going into the winter months with no heat. I belong to other organizations, and one is the Kiwanis Northwest Club of Indianapolis, where we're a community service organization. One of the gentlemen in that organization works for Chapman Heating and Air. I went to him and said, is there any program that your company does? Maybe you help 2 or 3 individuals a year, gifted, or air conditioning, or a furnace. He said, Annette, let me get back with you and see what I can do. 2 days later, he called me and said, guess what? We will be giving her a new air conditioning and furnace unit. I'm just sharing this because these are the type of stories that I see every day as a trustee here in Pike Township. Even today, because you have a deadline when you have your service is cut off. I had several individuals call me today, their service was cut off today. And I'm trying to figure out what we can do. Because, I'm sure you know this, it's a fee that comes along with even getting it back on. Think about it, if I can't even pay my bill, what makes you think I can pay this high service fee to get it reconnected? So, with your roles, I just want to leave this with you. Where's your compassion? You make these decisions. Where is it? I want you to think of these 3 words I'm going to leave with you. I want you guys to be responsible. I want you guys to be reasonable. And I want you to provide reliable services to us ratepayers. Thank you.
I next call Demetrius Hicks. Please state and spell your name for the record.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Demetrius Hicks. It is spelled Demetrice. Last name Hicks, Hicks. I am a member of the Pike Township Board, which is the legislative and fiscal body, and tonight I am joined here with 2 of my colleagues, Kenya Perkins and Claudette Peterson. We came here to voice our... Spell your name. State your name for the record.
Kenya Perkins, that's Kenya, Perkins, Perkins.
And my name is Claudette Peterson, ClaudettePeterson.
As I was saying, we are members of the Pike Township Legislative Board, which is the legislative and fiscal body for this township, and we service this area. We have a stretched budget, as the trustee just mentioned. We are responsible, our particular role is responsible for making sure that we fund township government and we fund emergency services. And if you pass this rate increase, our constituents will hurt. We are here tonight to tell you Pike Township residents cannot afford it, and we do not want this rate increase. And we're asking you to have compassion and make sure this does not get passed. We often hear people before politics, people before profit, and you are in a position to make sure that you live that sentiment through. So again, we're telling you we do not want it, we cannot afford it, this will hurt the residents of Pike Township Center. We just lost a major support center in our community. The Favorite Clark Community Neighborhood Center recently closed. That was a place where residents were able to go to and offset what we are not able to fund or support at the township level government. That center has now closed, and if you pass this rate, we are going to have to make hard decisions as a legislative and fiscal body. Again, we have a very tight budget, and if you do this, we're going to have to determine where we need to allocate funds, and we don't need to make the people burden that expense when they're already stretched too far already. And as the trustee mentioned earlier about residents going to her office, those are our constituents. Those are our constituents that we talk to when we go to HOA meetings, town halls, and they are hurting. They are hurting. So again, you are in a position to put people before politics and people before profit. Thank you.
I next call Seve Martin.
Good evening. My name is Sabay. It's spelled S like Sam, A, B like boy, A, E, Martin, M-A-R-T-I-N. And I want to talk about more. When we pay for more, we typically expect more. In the case of AES, we get less and less and less. And the way AES ended up on my radar was the billing issue. I'm paying my bill and life is going along fine, and then there's a hiccup. Well, that hiccup turned into a $1,000 bill in 1 month. And I work at being an advocate for my community. So I thought, well, let me just file a complaint. After talking to customer service on several occasions through the entire 6 months, it felt like. I'm sure I can go back and check my notes. I was actually told by a customer service rep that you have to complain 3 times to a supervisor before we can get someone from management to call you back. Okay, well, I did that. And when they called back, they did everything but accept responsibility for the billing issue. The letter that I received, or the letter that I wrote in November 18, 2024, the email, I was thanked for contacting the Consumer Affairs Division of the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission regarding Indianapolis Power and Light. I don't know who that is, but that's not who I complained about, but that's what they wrote. Once I have researched your complaint, I will issue a determination regarding the matters of the complaint. Please be advised that depending on the complexity of issues or circumstances involved in the complaint, more than 30 days may be required to provide a determination. If you disagree with my decision regarding your complaint, you have 7 days to appeal. I got a response, a voicemail. I wrote an email and I got, in response, a voicemail. But I pulled up the original complaint today because I knew I was coming here tonight. And I asked her to put what she said in the voicemail in writing. So she writes, as requested, please see the case determination for the case number below. Determination to the customer. I called and left a voicemail for the customer. I stated that AES, right company this time, explained that unexpected issues arose after the billing system upgrade in November 2023, resulting in delayed printing of customer billing statements until the issues were resolved. I stated that AES confirmed that they halted printing her billing statement and the problems, AES canceled and rebuilt the correct charges. They went up. Charges as reflected on the April 2024 billing statement, resulting in a balance of $534.99 for the billing period of October 6, 2023 to April 4th, 2024. I explained that I received a copy of the billing statements for her account, and AES advised that the statements are available online and can be mailed to her at her request. I provided information regarding her account balance. I advised that the latest billing statement dated 12/17/2024 reflects that the total account balance of $1,104.97 was placed into a payment arrangement, and $298.51 is due by January 7th, 2025. We started this conversation in 2023. I didn't expect them to waive my bill, but what I did expect is to know what they billed me for. When I asked them, how are you figuring out how you rebuild a bill that was never printed? They said they looked at my old bills. I am still battling this $1,104 bill problem, which is now in its newest payment arrangement, and the balance is $1,369 and some change. When I pay more, I want more. When I go to Neiman Marcus, I want to get what I'm buying there, not what I would get at JCPenney. And that's all of us. And the reason why I ask you to not give this rate increase is because there are more and more of us that are deemed to be low income, while companies like AES continue to grow and take advantage. They have not earned a rate increase, whether it's the old one or the one they're asking for now. If they took some of their profits and increased the quality of their customer service, the quality of communicating with their customers, that might be reasonable. But I just want to get my more for the money that I pay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I next call Vernon Compton. Could you please state and spell your name for the record?
Vernon Compton, V-E-R-N-O-N. Last name is Compton, C-O-M-P-T-O-N. All right, I'm here today because I don't understand why, if you put solar panels on your house, anything that's extra, the state has changed it so that they don't have to buy it back. Now there's no incentive to put solar panels on your house because of our government is taking all the incentive to help pay to put solar on your houses. All right, I'm retired now, but when I wasn't retired, I have 2 meters on my house because I'm a retired welder. So I'm paying for 2 meters. Last year, my house bill was over $260 just to cool the house. I told my relative in Vegas, it used to be a time I could cool the house cheaper than to heat it. Now it's the other way around. I am on a fixed income. Unfortunately, I'm a senior. And this bill is just continuing to go up. I looked at the meter last year. The house meter now has a digital meter like the garage. I can't even read it. I can't even compare what it did or anything. I don't think there's any information that they provide us to how to read a meter to compare it from what it did last month to this month. You don't know if it's accurate or not. because it's no longer analog, it's just a flashing digital emblem on it. And I can't even read it. And I just think that the rate is just going too high. Just going too high. And I think you should deny it. And I don't understand why they can't buy the juice back, and just like Jesse is being penalized for having solar panels. And it just doesn't make sense. So that's my complaint.
Thank you. I next call Janice Bacon.
Janice Bacon, Janice, capital Bacon. Yeah, it's a funny name, I know. I live in the Monrovia area on the west end of AES's grid. You likely recognize the name of my town due to the massive data center that is planned in that area. Having heard some of the testimony, I know you've heard lots of numbers and you've heard a lot of statistics, so I'd like to take a wider view of why I'm here. Locally, our elected officials, working with a hired economic development director, working with an economic development director, were able to communicate with utilities. They were able to communicate with state officials. They were able to communicate with each other and developers with no public oversight or input. By signing non-disclosure agreements, our elected officials were able to make the decision that a data center and the ensuing electrical infrastructure costs should be saddled on the constituents. All of this was done over the course of many years with no public input. Our local elected officials, working with the state and the federal government, have completely abandoned any pretense of transparency. AI and the ensuing cost, according to our government, should be carried by the citizens. On the front end of this AI development, AES is looking to raise rates right now, this rate increase. They'll become more profitable and then sell to a private equity firm. Talk about potential monopoly. In the middle of all of this, the rates will be raised to cover the cost of powering these AI monsters. And that will be on the back of the citizens, who then have to buy the product that AI development has produced using our money. So we have to buy the product that we paid to build. Now, I understand this board is probably in a difficult position. If you raise our rates, we will believe that you agree with our government that citizen input just does not matter. That citizens are just too simple-minded to understand the bigger picture. If you don't raise our rates, the likelihood is that our government will just remove you from this board and replace you with someone who is willing to do the bidding that the government is seeking. My vision for my town, my county, my state, and my country do not match the current reality. I request that someone please hear us, citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. I next call Mary Dando.
Hello.
Please state and spell your name for the record.
Mary Dando, and it's spelled Mary-Dando. And I'm coming here what am I doing? I'm coming here to support all of us because I think that you all in your position need to know that we can be empowered to speak, and that's what I'm here today to say. We need to voice our concerns. Of course, I disagree with the rates being increased. I am retired and on a fixed income, so it will affect me. But I also think that we are also looking at the bigger picture, and Representative Pryor talked about the fact that why we have a private company running railroading over us, when in fact we should have a public utility that we can invest in. And I really do think that that's the heart of what's going on here, because as long as AES can make deals behind doors, they will continue to increase. On another note, I happen to be a member of St. Vincent de Paul, and we have a hotline of people who call in need. What do you think the two biggest things we have at the moment? Utilities and rent. And we can only give so much, and it feels so awful when you can't give the whole thing. And I don't know, this may have changed, but before that, AES would only accept the entire bill. They would not accept partial payments. I'm not sure whether that's changed. But I just feel that it's like Big Brother once again screaming back at us little people. And I am just one person, but I know I'm among many here to say, don't increase our rates. Thank you.
Thank you. I next call Samantha Alba.
Good evening. My name is Samantha Alba, spelled S-A-M-A-N-T-H-A. Last name Alba, A-L-B-A. It seems like we were just in this room, and that's because we were not that long ago when we sat in front of you guys and told you we said no to the rate increase the first time around. And looking back, the room was packed. And I have a theory that the reason it's not as packed is because people cannot afford a babysitter to watch the kids. They cannot afford to be here because they're off to their second or third job just to get by in these times. I find it really disappointing and hard to believe that this rate increase is for tree management and other services that AES claims that we will be gaining with this rate increase. A member of the community stopped me before this meeting and wanted me to share that in 2023, AES had a net loss of $182 million. They were able to turn their profits in 2024 to $698 million. It's just unfathomable that this could even be on the table for discussion. It is very clear that empathy does not exist in AES's business model, and it's clear that empathy did not exist in your decision when you negotiated a rate increase for AES last time, and I'm almost anticipating that you're going to do that again. When this city begins to turn in on itself, and the people of this city continue to feel the pressure on their neck from AES, from every other cost of living that has gone up, and everybody starts to turn in on themselves because they will need to do what they need to do to survive, you will only have yourselves to blame. At the end of the day, you will only have yourselves to blame. It used to be that you were considered a crazy person and believed in conspiracy theories, but it is very evident that corporate greed and these monopolies are in your pockets, they're whining and dining with city leaders and officials, and they're getting their way. And to hear these stories where people should be at home with their families, should be at home with their kids, they should be taking care of themselves and each other and their neighborhood and getting ready for the workday tomorrow, we have to be in this room, pleading to you all that we can't handle another rate increase. It just cannot happen. Not another negotiation, just an absolute no to a rate increase. And there was a gentleman here who said something about not having an analog meter, and I just want to point out that AES on their website does have a form, or at least they used to have a form, that allows you to opt out of a smart reader and go back to a analog meter, so that is a concern. The last thing I'll say is more directed to the people behind me. It's really recognizing to look to your left, look to your right. It does not matter if somebody in your yard, your neighbor, had a Trump sign in their yard or a Harris sign in their yard. It doesn't matter what race, religion, ethnicity. Now is the time that we do have to come together. We have to help each other. We have to take care of our senior citizens with Alzheimer's. We have to rely on ourselves to help our senior citizens whose furnace goes out. We have to provide food on the table for our neighbors' children. Now is the time we have to do that. We are all viewed in the same way to these people. It does not matter your background, your beliefs, your values. It does not matter. Now is the time, it's only going to get worse, that we put our differences aside, our distractions aside, and we realize what's important. Healthy food, healthy education, and healthy utilities in our home, which are the central nervous system of a home to keep it running.
Thank you. I next call Linda Faust. Linda
Faust?
F-O-U.
F-O-U-L-K-S.
Let's go.
My name is Linda, Linda, and that's Folks, Foulks. I was here last year, and it looks like the same people are here today too. Oh, I'm sorry. It looks like the same people are here today, but I'm a dialysis patient. I go 3 days a week, 4.5 hours a day. I have dialysis in my chest. I went this morning at 11:45. I turned off my TV when I left and turned off my lights. I came back home at 4:30. This was on my door. My electric has been turned off. Only because I got a shut-off notice for 2 months. I pay my bill each month. And the shut-off notice includes 2 months' bill. I don't owe that much. I owe 1 month, and I pay that on the first of each month when I get my check. Now, I don't have no utilities, no refrigerator, no lights, but I gotta go to dialysis anyway. I went through the winter time with this increase, and I had a rough time paying my heating bill. Now I'm going through it again, and I live alone. I don't have anyone else living with me who uses my utilities but myself. So I'm saying tonight, I'm going to pay this bill to get my utilities back on. But I hope I don't have to go through this too much longer. And at my age, most of you are younger than I am. And you can say, hey, we're going to live after she's dead. But I'm telling you what comes around goes back around, baby.
I next call Nicholas Cruzman. Please state and spell your name for the record.
Sorry. Nicholas Cruzman, Nicholas. Cruzman, Kreuzman. I feel like I just want a spelling bee here. First, I'd like to say, can I just, okay, all right, there we go. Thanks so much for coming out tonight. I appreciate everybody being here in front of me, and especially everybody here behind me, my neighbors. I didn't want to come here tonight. I don't think anybody else wants to be here tonight, but it was important to be here tonight. And while I'm super stoked that a lot of people came out, kind of like Samantha said, we have a lot of empty chairs. And I'm not here just for myself. I'm here for my parents. My mom just retired after 19 years, bus driver. My dad just had back surgery last year. Getting around is hard for him. They're looking at being on a fixed income. So this increase is certainly going to affect them. My sister is a nurse. My brother is a firefighter. So they work different hours. They can't come to every meeting that there is. So their options for civic engagement are limited. That's 4 chairs. I'm sure all of us have at least 4 other people that wanted to be here tonight but can't. I'm not going to hit on all the numbers and facts. I think we've all hit them pretty hard. I agree with everything everybody said about the increases. Did anybody choose AES as their energy provider? Cool. All right, yeah, same. I don't know that I would if I had the option, but I don't have that option. And a lot of folks in the community don't even have the option to be here today to have their voice heard. If this increase is permitted, how many more empty chairs will there be? Because people are working 2 jobs to pay the bills. And how many people will there be to advocate as more and more chairs become empty and more rate increases move forward? Thank you.
I next call Kristen Caulfield.
Hello, my name is Kristen Cofield, Kristin, Cofield, Cofield. I just want to express my concerns about this rate increase. I started paying my own utilities when I was 19 years old. I learned at a very early age that I had to budget and not live above my means in order to take care of myself. I paid out of pocket for 3 different degrees because I was disciplined and I knew the importance of a budget. So when I get a bill, and my bills from January to June, I'm just going to say January to June of 2025, have been at $80, no more than 90, and it's consistently that way because that's how I budget. And then for a July statement, for it to jump all the way to $232 in 1 month. And I know for a fact, I work 10, 12 hours a day. When I come home, I don't watch TV, I'm studying, I'm reading a book, I'm not using that type of electricity and power for any reason. So for it to be from January to June, and now it's $232. So I just got the statement. I did not want to open it until I got here today because I didn't want to be calm. I wanted to be angry at what I saw. I wanted to be angry. And now this bill is almost $500. I'm making a point to pay my bills on time. I'm making a point to stay on budget. There's no way that this bill should be what it is. No way. I called for several weeks trying to get in touch with someone, not because I don't want to pay the bill. I'm trying to understand why is it so high? Why is it so high? It took me several weeks, and then when I finally got in touch with someone, a live person, it was over an hour. Over an hour. I'm a mental health therapist, and I am constantly meeting with my clients. I do not have time to sit on the phone for an hour trying to talk to someone, not because I want to not pay this bill, because I need to understand. And then I hear these conspiracy theories, which they say are conspiracy theories, but they're coming from credited people, where AES has charged one account from both neighbors on one account, and her bill was over $1,000. She finally gets in touch with someone, and they say, oh, my mistake. So I'm thinking, my neighbor who had a tree that fell down on the power lines and was down for 2 weeks before somebody came out to take a look at it and clear the power lines, still had power. So am I thinking, am I paying for another household on my bill? There's no way that bill should be $141 more in 1 month. That sounds like another household. Then I want to take it back to last year. Last year, I had myself and several family members that don't work the hours I work or go to school for the time that I'm going to school call because there's a street light right above my property that never comes on. Now, I live a beautiful house that rests in a drug-infested area. So the alley at sundown becomes the Walking Dead. Now, I'm not judging my brothers and sisters. I'm not judging them because they're trying to survive however they need to survive. However, if I am paying for that street light to come on so I can see when I get into my property, why isn't it on? I'm still being charged. I'm still being charged for something that I'm not receiving. Last year, I just finally gave up at the beginning of this year. I never got a chance to talk to anybody. Thank God for my neighbor who put up a motion light because he noticed that I come home after dark. I can barely see in front of my hands. That's how dark it is in my alley. It's very dangerous, and nobody is taking that into consideration at AES. I am not trying to be on your budget because I know how to budget. I trust my own budget. I don't want to be on your budget, and I don't want to not pay you. But this rate increase is unacceptable, and I hope that you deny it. Thank you.
I next call Brent Bowles. Could you please state and spell your name for the record?
My name is Sherry Taylor, S-H-E-R-R-Y-T-A-Y-L-O-R, Eagledale Neighborhood Association.
Brent Bowles, B-R-E-N-T-B-O-W-L-E-S. I'm the founding president of Homewood Park Neighborhood Association and also a board member of the Eagledale Neighborhood Association. I've done some basic Google research, And what I found is that the average income for citizens on the west side of Indianapolis is about $44,000 a year. The average rent is $1,300 a month. Average electric cost, about $208. Average gas, it was hard to find this one, but I averaged it out about $100 a month. With this, that rent is about 40% of that income. The utilities is another 10. So just to have a roof over your head, if you're making $44,000, which many people don't, 50% of that is going just to maintain a roof over your head. AES is a $48 billion asset company. They have approximately $1.35 billion in cash on hand. AES CEO, Andres Gluski, his base salary is $2.5 million a year. But after all of his different bonuses, cash bonuses, bonds, other benefit package, that's an additional $12.7 million a year. Okay, so that's just one of the executives for AES. How many others are getting outrageous bonuses like that? They're wanting to bring in these data centers. They're going to monitor all the public information. They're going to be utilized for multi-billion-dollar companies such as Facebook and Amazon. They're saying that this is going to create jobs. It's going to create construction jobs to build them. After that, it's a big computer. They'll have people there to maintain it, but it's not going to be bringing in thousands of jobs, hundreds of jobs for people to actually have work. So it seems like that during the negotiations of these data centers, that AES has offered them a discounted rate, even though these data centers are going to be guzzling the power, and that the city and state government has also negotiated some tax breaks for them. So everybody's getting rich off of what we pay on our monthly bill. I graduated high school in 1982, and at that time we had a president by the name of Ronald Reagan, and he had a theory that was called trickle-down economics. And to this day, I have seen nothing trickle down. From the time I was 16 years old, I'm 61 today. It's time that we put an end to this. Do not approve this increase. Let them get rid of their bonuses to these CEOs. Show that they're putting something back into it rather than lining their own pocketbooks. And let us have a break, because everything else is just skyrocketing. Thank you for being here and hearing us out.
I'll be very brief because much of what I was going to say has already been said. On behalf of the Eagledale Neighborhood Association, we strongly oppose this rate increase. It's not even egregious. Most of us are senior citizens. Far too often, I hear again and again that we are getting an entitlement called Social Security. An entitlement. I've been working since I was 13 years old, paying into Social Security, yet it's referred to as an entitlement. And then here I stand looking at a situation where an organization that has paid dividends, increasing dividends for more than 12 years, asking for yet another rate increase. Is that not an entitlement? Why are they entitled? If you have enough money to pay consistently increasing dividends. What I was told, if you invest in stocks, you don't expect automatically to get anything back. But somehow there's a deal somewhere that has guaranteed not only will they get something back, but they'll be getting a steady increase. I'm not going to say it's compassion. I'm just going to say it's common sense. There is no way that they should get this rate increase. There's plenty of money that they're already getting. If I didn't keep my house up for the past 25 years, is someone going to bail me out? No. They are responsible. They should have used the money wisely. And if they did not, it should not be on our backs. Thank you.
Excuse me, ma'am. Mr. Bowles, can you, I'm sorry, your associate, ma'am, did you fill out a form?
I did.
Okay. I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Sherry Taylor.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Next, I call John Goldberg.
Good evening. My name is John Goldberg. My first name is spelled John, last name Gold, B as in Brick, ERG. I'm a retiree senior citizen. I live in the AES service district near Glendale. Some of the points that I'm going to raise, of course, have been covered by other people. I'd like to remind everybody that theoretically AES is a capitalist enterprise now. Under the rules of free enterprise, usually when you're not satisfied with the products or services offered by a corporate entity, you have an alternative. There's competition. You go to somebody else. But as everybody knows, AES is a protected monopoly. Unless you're one of the few people who have solar panels on their houses. But I can't go across the street to somebody else and ask for electrical service if I don't like what the rates they're charging. That means AES pretty much. I beg your pardon? Oh. Oh. Is this better? Oh, sorry. Thank you, brother. So AES pretty much has a chokehold over the people of its service district. Of course, the rate increases have to be approved by people like you and other bodies, but when was the last time a rate increase was turned down or substantially modified? I don't know that that's ever been the case, but it needs to be. They claim that a great deal of the costs they've incurred has to do with tree trimming, but that's only a small fraction of what they're asking for. I think they're asking for something that's going to amount to like $2.1 billion or something, and it's a certain number of a few hundred million that go into tree trimming. What's the rest for? We've heard people mention the data centers that are coming in. There's one owned by Google that's close to being approved for the southeast side of Franklin Township. I think somebody mentioned another one on the west side. These data centers don't benefit anybody in the communities where they're located. They create very few jobs. They use huge amounts of water and other resources. They place heavy burdens on the communities where they're located, and the latter receive nothing substantial in return. Now, there's another point that nobody's mentioned that I think should be brought up, and that is that AES has decided to continue the use of a coal-fired power plant here in Indiana. It was planning to retire, but it's going to go on into 2027, if not later. Why is it going to do that? Well, is that the data centers have something to do with it? We don't know. We also know that AES has that they have plans possibly to build new plants, but none of them seem to be have anything to do with a renewable resource. They're not really investing in solar or wind power, which is becoming more and more the source of choice these days. We've heard people talk about the strain on ratepayers' budgets. We haven't heard much mention of the fact that a much higher proportion of the bills are going to be paid by residential customers. The businesses and public institutions are not going to be paying as much as they used to. So I think that for all these reasons, this rate increase ought to be turned down. It seems that there's a continuous pattern where the evidence on behalf of the rate increase is presented, but it's not published any place. There's no real itemization of what the money, where the money's going to go, where the need comes from. We really just don't know. So there's no justification for this. The incomes of the people that are paying the rates don't rise. I'm not aware that there's a senior citizen discount for electric utility service. No, there isn't. And I don't think there's any kind of a lower income discount. Electricity is a necessity of life in the United States in 2025. We talk about food, clothing, shelter. People also need utility services. Hello, okay. So on both practical and moral grounds, this rate increase is invalid and should be rejected. Thank you.
Thank you. I next call Susan Pollard. Please state and spell your name for the record.
Susan Pollard, S-U-S-A-N-P-O-L-L-A-R-D.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for hearing me today. First, I had a question, and they said that you don't answer questions, that we're just here to give our opinion. The only thing I could equate this rate hike with is the news that this data center is coming. And if you're involved in that at all, I want you to know that I don't want any of my money spent on what I believe are industries that are not regulated at all, like AI and maybe Bitcoin. I don't know what they're doing there. The next thing I'd like to tell you is that I've lived in my home near Spring Mill in 86 for 50 years, and I've maintained it. We have a brand new roof. It's a stone home. We have a brand new furnace, efficiency furnace, and water heater. I received the largest bill I've ever received from AES this month. And I'm not happy about it. This had to be because of the last rate hike, which was only a little about a year and a half, not quite ago. So no, I don't approve of this at all. And I really would like to find out from someone if this rate hike and our money is going toward this data center or anything to do with it. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. I next call Rhonda White.
Majority of my questions have been asked and answered.
Thank you. I next call Jacqueline Pryor. Please state and spell your name for the record.
My name is Jacqueline Pryor, Jacqueline, last name Pryor, Pryor.
Thank you.
I'm here stating some facts. I don't know if it pertains to everybody, but I know it pertains to myself and a lot of people that I live in my community and live in my senior community where I live at. This year I had my what's called an air conditioner on twice. Once to see if it worked, and the second time to see if it still worked. Because this summer, it's not really that bad, but I have 4 fans in my home, one in each room. I have a 4-room unit, and it's about 500 to 600 square feet. It's small. There's no way my bill should be almost $60, $70 a month when I live alone. That don't make sense. And sometimes $70, $75 a month when I live alone. We have I have to close my curtains in the summertime to keep out the heat. In the wintertime, close to keep out the cold. What game are we playing here? This is just to keep my bill low? Why? We shouldn't have to do that. Some do this, one do that. Unplug this, unplug that. It's always like it's a little game we playing. Why are we playing these games? Why are bills so high? What are you doing with the money? Where's it going? We senior citizens cannot afford to pay these light bills. And our bills, we have people carpooling to go to food pantries because they can't afford to buy food. It costs money to go outside. It costs money to stay inside. So we don't know what to do. What's the problem? Sometimes I have to crack my door to get some air from the hallway to come into my apartment. Is that still in there, or am I working? Trying to survive. Trying to survive. It don't make any sense for us senior citizens who live on a fixed income. Some of us live in income-based apartments based on your income. But why is not light bill based on our income? Why? We are paying too much money for what? To see? To stay warm? To stay cool? I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't know what's going on or what are you all doing with the money. Are we paying for you all's equipment? Because when I look at my light bill, the equipment is almost as much as the light bill. I don't understand it. What are we paying for? And how long do we have to do this? And one thing I wanted to say about these income-based bills, what the seniors look at, they can't afford it. I can't afford it. I live on Social Security and a minimum pension from AES, which is barely enough to survive. I got a disconnect notice a couple times this year, and as long as I've been living and working, I never had a disconnect notice, never. Because I've been able to pay my bills, because I pay my bills. I shouldn't have to be on the budget. Why are we on the budget? I want some answers. I don't know what's going on here. I want to know, what are you all doing with the money? Where's it going? That's all I want to know. Where's it going? Can anybody tell us that? And one more thing I want to say before I leave out. If everything is on your income and everything you do when you go outside, you got to pay for food, gas, groceries, everything. So when you come home, you can't even enjoy your little 565 square foot in your house. I think that's awful. That's all I have to say.
I next call Greta Allen. Greta Allen.
I'm a senior and I can't hear very good. Sorry. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Your Honor, Ms. Allen needs to be signed.
Thank you. Ms. Allen, we're going to swear you in.
which one of these do I talk into? This one?
You're good. We're gonna swear you in real quick. If you can raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm the evidence you will give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Ms. Allen, if you could please state and spell your name for the record.
Certainly. My first name is Greta, Greta, and my last name is Allen, Allen.
Thank you. You may continue.
Okay. Mine is more of kind of a question, and I know you can't necessarily answer a question, but I like to make it's in the news just like you guys, okay? You sell electricity, basically, and we've got a lot of data centers that are being installed throughout the state. And from what I understand, they're going to be more of a drain on our electric stuff. And they're going to pay a lot of money. So are they going to start giving us a discount or lower our rate when we start making that money? Or are we just stuck paying what we're paying, go up and pay more and pay more and pay more? I'm a retiree. I raised 2 kids by myself. And then you throw in families. People are trying to raise kids. And they can't even hardly go to the grocery store. But they've got to have heat and they have to have electricity. And so I want to know if we're going to make this big pay raise, even though we're suffering, will they give us a break once this stuff is installed and they're making millions of dollars? That's about all I got to say. I just wanted to have a matter of the record. Thank you very much.
Your Honor, can we take a brief break to see if there are any other folks that would want to speak?
Yes, we will take a 5-minute break.
Thank you. I would like to call Lloyd Patterson. Thank you. Your Honor, Mr. Patterson needs to be sworn in.
Mr. Patterson, we're going to swear you in. If you could raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the evidence you will give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
And if you could please just state and spell your name for the record.
Okay, my name is Cloyd Patterson, middle initial W, Cloyd, Patterson, Patterson.
Thank you. You may continue.
All right. I really hadn't planned on speaking. A lot of stuff that I was going to say at first has already been said. I'd like to say just real quick something about the greater good. We used to worry about, I want to speak on behalf of other people, like the gentleman said, that weren't able to get here. I personally fought with the idea of coming because I really believe anymore that the people aren't listened to, like a lot of people here. But I also felt like, and I said to my wife, we have to fight. And that's what I'm here for right now. You guys need to understand that, all of our paychecks are not going up with the amounts of money that you guys are steadily squeezing out of us. I have no problem with paying my bills. In the future, I hope that I will continue to have no problem paying my bills. But if everybody continues to raise their rates and raise the cost of living for every little thing, streaming, gas, your electric, water, food, basic necessities, housing, all these things going up. You're here asking, in my opinion, like a lot of people's opinion, us to support data centers. And those are no good neither for the environment, and they're not good for people. So, like I said, I just want you guys to consider the greater good. I joined the Marine Corps years ago
because I wanted to do something for the greater good. People anymore, there are a lot of people that do, there's a lot of people that don't care about the greater good. Being part of this country, being part of the community, right? Looking out for your fellow person in your community. This is what we're here for, I think. Everybody's here to speak out for everybody else that can't be here. Please listen to them. Listen to me. That's all I got to say.
Your Honor, I move that the testimony tonight be admitted as Public's Exhibit FHC1.
Are there any objections?
No objections, Your Honor. No objection.
Thank you. The Public's Exhibit FHC1 is admitted into evidence. Thank you so much for your participation in this hearing. Cause number 46258 is continued to the next field hearing, which will be held Wednesday, August 27th at 6 p.m. at the Fort Event Center at Fort Harrison State Park in the Blue Heron Ballroom. And thank you, New Augusta, for hosting us tonight.